we're up to Tzadi Daled Amid Aleph. Today's Bem is Tzadi K, but we're up to Tzadi Daled Amid Aleph. We're up to the third shot in the Gemara. The Gemara asked the Shaila that what's an Negeh B'chlal sending this excuse me, this aver, and you're fooling the guy that he thinks that there's a Gedanasha, that the Gedanasha was already removed, and the truth is it wasn't removed. So who cares? We asked the Kasha, is it a B'makom Shemachrizin, B'makom Shemachrizin, which is, we're going to see Be'ez Hashem, the B'makom Shemachrizin system, which the Gemara is going to talk about, that they had a process in a place where the whole industry was controlled by Jews, and in such a place, all the tabachim were Yisrael. So the only chashash is maybe a treifa. So there they had a system that when there's a treifa, there'll be machris. When there's no treifa, you're not machris. We'll see exactly how the achraza worked. We'll see exactly. And anybody could go buy from anybody meat in the whole town, because why? Because the whole industry was controlled by Jews. That was the machrizim system. So the Gemara asked the kasha. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about b'makom shemachrizin or b'makom she'emachrizin? Are we talking about a b'makom that if it's b'makom shemachrizin, so then right if it's makom shemachrizin, so if it's cut up, also let's be worried about what. Why is the difference if it's cut, it's not cut? And if it's a makom shemachrizin, if it's a makom she'emachrizin, so then anyways you can't buy it from a guy, right? That was the Gemara's kasha. So the Gemara said three teretz. One teretz was that we're talking about makom shemachrizin, and be'etzem you could buy. So what's the difference between if it's cut up or it's not cut up? The teretz is that there's a difference between a Jewish cut and a Goyish cut, because a Geshmaka cut would be to cut it straight up, but the Jews can't cut it straight up because they take out the Geranasha. That's one difference. The second difference of the Gemara is in Mokum Shemachizim. That's what we can't buy. But what? We have a Gzeira Shema Yitnana B'fanav. That means that what? And that the Tana of our Mishnah, like this Mandama holds, that we not only, even though there is no such thing as buying from a guy in general, because they didn't set up the machrizim system, but afal pikein, you can't give something to a guy in a place where maybe where there's a makom to be chayshish, that a guy could watch it coming and assume that it's okay. So right, that was the second teretz. The third teretz opens up a whole sugya, which is roiv of tzadi dalid, which is a vort of asa lignav das. That the pshat is that genevas das is worse. Genevas das is a terrible thing. And not only that, the Gemara says that genevas das is worse than is asa lignav das abrias vafilu shel akum. Filu shel akum. Right? And this is going to be that's today's sugya. Now, in the shmuz of genevas das, there's a lot of Torah. Because the be'etzem there's a moed kasha, because we find that this is the mashad, the kega, everyone's muchazach. What's the is of gnevas das? We know that gezlakum the tzom shitas is mutter, at least midarais is mutter. What's going on over here in this gnevas das? Why is gnevas das so gefährlich? Why is it vafilu shalakum? So there's two foundational mahalchim in what the is of gnevas das is. Is the pshat in gnevas das that the pshat is? We said this over already yesterday. We'll just say it over real quickly. And each one you have to give a hezber why is gnevas das different than gzelas hakum? Yeah, that's what we have to understand. One mahalach is like this, that the pshat is, the Reim says, that the pshat is, it's all else loisigzam. It's all else loisigzam. And Navos, no, the pshat is that even in a place that and the Mukhar is, because it says loisignoivu, shaku ishba misoi, so the pshat is that we medayik that the Geneva is worse than the Loisig Noivu is even by everybody. Over there it says Ba Misai. But Geneva itself is also even by a Koy. What? Yeah. What's going to be with with money. You like to wind up against lakamoto. Amid vayatigain. Amid vayatigain that the Eibishter was the when it came to money, there was a hefker, but not when it comes to das. So the pshat is it's all gneva, but gneva's das is worse than gneva's mammon.
It's tight that even gneva's mammon is also by
we're gonna get to this one. Oh, very good. We're gonna get to one second. So, but I want to just set up. So this mahalach is saying that gneva's das. The problem is it's a gneva. It's a gneva. What's going to be there's a difference between gneva's das and money. Yeah, let's how the Rebbe seems to say it. So there's another malach that the pshat is that gneva's das is not a chesaron. It's not a chesaron b'chlal money. I'm not taking anything from them. The problem is I'm a shakrin. So then it's very gishmak. The difference is not. So that's why it doesn't make a difference who the plaintiff is. I don't care who the one who was hurt. It's a ben adam lamakim dikasar problem. It's a problem. It's my immorality that I am not being straight and I'm being a gain of das. If that's the problem, so then it's very gishmak. Why it's a difference between a yid and a goy? Because it has nothing to do with Amaviyat goy. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's a goy. It has to do with me. I am not being straight. Yeah.
So then it should be straight in. Any sheker should be worse than stealing. Is that true?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's nobody. But here is the Achronim want to sell to a murdig and michas chinuch, and they want to say michas chinuch pshat in the Rambam. They want to say, and this is really very geshmak. Has to be what's called it. Has to be zugestellt to Gneves Das. That the Rambam is mavur that gzela sakum is, even if your gzela sakum is mutter, but Gneves sakum is also. So what's the chilik?
Nice.
So the Lamdanim say it your way. The Lamdanim say it your way. The chilik is between Gneves Das and gzelas das is that Gneva is a Maisa. It's the Maisa Gneva, and not the Chesarma. But if you say it's slightly different, or you say it that way, but a little bit less lumdish, that Gnevas Akum, the problem is that I'm fooling that person. What's the Maisa? The Maisa is that I did something behind his back. Exactly, I did it right in front of him, so the whole Chesaron is the Chesaron money. By Gneva, the pshat is that I did something behind his back. That the Torah Asa by a guy is very gishmak. By Gneva, since the Torah Asa Gneva Sakum, so the Torah Asa Gneva Sakum, so meaning that I can't fool him. So so Gneva's Das is also fooling him. Gneva's Das is the case of a Gneva without the Gzela. We know that a Gneva is a Gzela plus, but what'll be what's a Gneva minus Gzela? Gneva's Das. If the pshat is that Gzela is taking a certain amount of value from that person, and Gneva is fooling him and doing a Gzela at the same time. So what would be a Gneva without a Gzela? Fooling him without taking any money. What's that? That's called Gneva's Das. Yeah, it's a very nice gishmaka. Geschmack cheshbon, the handle. Okay. Yeah. It's not my zustand. Yeah. It's not my zustand. My sechia, I don't know. Yeah, I heard over Chaim Kanievsky's handles these for us a lot. I didn't what's called it, but it's not my zustand. Shtoning to this mechaschenach is b'chalal not my zustand. Okay, let's go back to let's this. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, but Lemaisa, I just want to say one last knage. Rashi's mashma that Gneva's das is neither. I would say Rashi's mashma that the problem, Rashi keeps on saying, the problem of Gnevas Das is not that I'm somehow misleading. It's not the problem that I'm somehow I fooled him. Somehow I took his equilibrium, so somehow his mindset. I changed his mindset. Something to do with what I did. And the nafkamina is going to be, how do you have a chazara? How do you have how do you have a tshuva on a Gnevas Das? Big Shiloh, what could you do? What do you do by Gnevas Das? Could you have to do you, how you do a chazara? But it could be, this is the eitzah. Rashi says that the problem of Gnevas Das of Rashi is that the pshat is v'nimtza machzik loy toiva chinam. Rashi keeps on saying that the problem with a Gnevas Das is that when this guy is going to feel like you did a meridigat tova to him, you were meitiv to him, he's going to feel indebted to him, and he's going to go ahead later and do something special for you. That's the Gnevas Das. So the problem is on the second step, that he's going to go machzik loy toiva v'chinam. That's the problem. Here, the guy feels indebted to you. He indebted to do an eitzah, and he's not indebted. He shouldn't be indebted because he doesn't owe you anything. You didn't do him a taiva. That's the difference between. That's the problem of Gnevas Das. So we're not talking about that. I took his. I changed his mind. It's not because I fooled him, and it's not right. So somehow that would be some kind of a mumminess, or even my lying. It's a third side. This is the fact that he's mechuyev now. He feels now indebted to be machzik leitei v'chinam. Seems to be how Rashi learns, and then the chazar will be very pashut to make sure that he's not machzik leitei. Tell him you don't owe me anything. Now you can do a very simple chazar. Yeah, very pashut. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be in first. I mean, it's fine. The only thing you can clarify, even like the other mahalchim, maybe it's possible I could do a chazar somehow, but somehow a chazar from mikan ve'elach he should know. But here it's clear that the problem is to be machzik leitei v'chinam v'nimsel machzik leitei v'chinam. As long as you make sure he's not machzik leitei v'chinam, you let him know, then you did nothing. Yeah. Okay.
All the mahalchim still be you let him know.
Right. So the shayla is if you could undo. I mean, the mice.
You're not undoing.
You're not undoing for that much. Just mice. So that'll be that kind of a Okay. So the Gemara right. Okay. So the Gemara said. I just want to say one more little knech over here in Rashi. The Gemara said b'mar deshchuta, that what happened, that the story that we learned, the case of Shmuel's halacha was in a case where he gave a yoyev tarnagoyles b'mar deshchuta, that he gave him a tarnagoyles in lieu of a shchuta. In other words, it seemed like it was kosher meat. Oh, the guy was all excited. He got kosher meat, and there was nothing. It was a treifa. Yeah. So what's the lashon of mar? So Rashi says what b'mar the shchuta is like Rashi b'chiluf shchuta b'cheska shchuta v'chavei b'chayris hahu tabcha the mazvin tarba the atma b'mar the kanta. This tabach that was selling tarba b'mar the kanta. By the way, that's the two different kinds of fats. Yeah, tarba and kanta. Yeah, b'mar is chiluf, and then Rashi says v'liner the lashon temuru. So what's the difference between chiluf and temura? This is the kasha of Chasam Sofer Muchazach. Yeah? And the Chasam Sofer wants to say that maybe like one shot he gave him one, he told him Mefurish, and one time he didn't tell him Mefurish. We're going to see on Amud Beis, Shmuz and Rashi, and that's the two Lashonis. I don't know. I think both could mean both. What's the lashon? What's the difference between chiluf and temura? So I want to say. Yeah, I want to say like this, that Rashi not saying two pshatim. First of all, Rashi establishes what's the taich of mar. Mar means chiluf. Now Rashi wants to know where does the word come from. I'll tell you. V'li selik me cut. I mean, Saviltzach Zogin Zok Rashi that it comes from. It's an abbreviation of the word temura. To mar. Temura. It comes from the words mar. It's mar. Mar is the consonants of Tamura, but not that Rashi is saying a different pshat. The lashon Tamura, and that's where the lashon chiluf comes from. But Rashi is not saying that it's two different things. Chiluf and Tamura is the same thing. Rashi is not saying two other pshatim. That's what I would like. That's linera. That's what I would say. What? Yeah, very good. Okay.
It's a chiluk, but how does it make a chiluk?
What?
What's the chiluk in
You're
Tamura
just using them interchangeably. So.
Right. You're saying they're mischalef. Very good. Yeah. That Tamura and Chiluf are mischalef. Yeah. Okay. Zok the Gemara weiter. Let me learn it. Zok the Gemara weiter. Tanya. A person shouldn't insist, keep on insisting for his friend to come visit him. And he knows deep down that he's not coming. And the reason why he's doing it so if LaMarshall he keeps on insisting because he really wants him to come, so then good. But if he's insisting because he knows the guy's not coming, and therefore the guy is going to feel indebted to him for asking, so then that is Genevas Das. Yeah? This is not a good case for us.
This comes into play by Simcha.
You
invite somebody from out of town. If you're inviting them just because you know he's not going to come to ingratiate yourself, that could be a problem. But if you knew that if he did come, you'd be happy.
This is mamish negeh, and the place where it's very negeh, where it's mamish negeh is it's negeh by an oval. If he's an oval, you know he's not coming, so don't invite him. I think it's the sma is medayik from the lashon of yisarev, that the pshat is that it's only if you overdo it. But if you do it once, then it could be you're being mechabedim. Which is really the Gemara is going to say this for of Kvoide. And so bottom line is it's all totally and right. So I don't think there's any specific rule. It's all totally in what's expected and what was understood and what your intention was, right? So in other words, the taka is no rule, right? But in a case where somebody's taka, your case is taka, a case where I've heard it done. Yeah, why not? Invite them anyway. They're not coming. Those are not coming. The all the invitations, those for sure go out. The other cousins will clear, but the all the go ons, those are $1.50 for to be mechabed somebody, and it's you don't think twice. Such a kind of zach is maybe taka. That would be a gnevus das. Taka gnevus das. Anyway, the kids. Yeah. Sagt die Gemara weiter, and you shouldn't overload him with a whole bunch of presents. Again, overloading. And he's not taking anything. This is halacha. It's interesting because we have the same thing nowadays with a bottle of wine. If you open up a bottle of wine, once you take out the cork, you have the clock starts. That's it, finished. Even if it's in the fridge it lasts for 2 weeks, and if it's out of the fridge, it lasts 3 days. I mean, a grocer, those that understand wine, wouldn't use it the next day. But for commoners, it takes place 2 days, 2-3 days. But then after that, already it starts going bad, right? So they have the same thing. So what do you have? Somebody has a chavis. Now, once it's open, it's not going to be good. Once it's uncorked, right? Once it's open, it's not going to be good. So a gross a person, you open a barrel because it's worth it, even though the rest of the barrel is going to go bad, right? But so now here's somebody came to him as a guest, and so obviously it's not somebody he would ever pop open a barrel of wine for him. But it happens to point be that he already sold this barrel to a chenveni, and the chenveni is going to be selling it. So therefore, it's got to be opened anyway. And it's got to be opened anyway. So he opens it up for this guy as if he's being mechabed him. In loylam, he's just yeah. So yeah. So that's this case. Now again, Rashi every single time says. Yeah, Rashi says the problem is because he's going to have to. Yeah, the Rashi keeps on saying that. That's the problem here. Yeah. Yeah, sagt die mal weiter. Elam can idea. And don't tell him Seich Shemen. He knows that the guy never doesn't shmear his Shemen. So he brings him a Pach Shemen and says Seich Shemen Pach Reikon. I mean, a good example of this is if somebody would have fake fruit on the table, you know. Oh, when you have some fruit, you know what I mean, when it's all fake. Then Mishvil Kvoide Mutter. But if he's Mishum Kvoide, it's Mutter. So again, if he's doing it out to be a Mechaberim, he's not trying. Oh, so the Shaila is like this. What? Oh, what's the teretz? What? So why is it a problem?
It should be a problem.
It should be a problem.
If the mechubit the person, they understand that people normally do that just to give them that cover.
Oh, so you're saying because the pshat is because koza achnes, because the guy is not going to get fooled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not mishum kvoidei. Mishum kvoidei is just a.
But we're talking about the person that he understands you're giving him cover. So therefore, it's going to take away the Geneva stance. Obviously, if he doesn't know it's done for his cover, then that can't do anything. Obviously, he knows. He knows, but he also knows it's not Geneva stance.
So Rashi, very.
Like a hat down or something.
So it's very interesting. We're going to have a case later. Again, it's going to say Vim Mishol Kvoidoi. And over there, it says Mutter, Rashi says, to go and cover Abrius.
The hatter. So you're doing it for a Siba, it's Mutter.
But why didn't Rashi say it over here? I'm thinking your word is Mamash Mochach. In our case over here is Mishvil Kvoidei Mutter. That the pshat is that I'm not doing it to fool the guy, and that's the bottom line. If I'm not doing it to fool you, it's fine. I'm doing it to be mechabed you. If the guy takes it the wrong way, that's something else. I'm not doing it to fool you. Mashenkin, in the other case we're going to see is a case where he's an oval, and I'm bringing something that's really empty. I bring a big kois that's really empty, and it has a little wine on the bottom. Why am I bringing a big kois? Because I want to fool him. But I also want to be mechabed him with that. In other words, what am I being mechabed? How am I being mechabed him? I'm being mechabed him. How am I being mechabed him? I'm being mechabed him. If we say you can't bring an empty barrel to a, what's called it, to a base oval. Why? Because you're fooling him thinking that they brought a whole one. Right. He's not going to drink from it. He's sitting by his avelis. There's people that are going to go and take wine. You can't have an empty one. Fine, give out. If there's a Yeshem Chaver here, then you're allowed to do it. Why Mishum Kvoide? What's the Kvoide? The covet is Gufa that people are going to be fooled to thinking that he brought a big. So he is fooling them. He's fooling them, but it's Mutter Mishum Kvoide. Over here, I'm not fooling him. I'm not doing an act of fooling him because I'm not trying to fool him. I'm not trying to mislead him. Over there, I'm trying to mislead them, but the misleading itself is Mishum Kvoide.
He's getting the same fool. I'm asking what I'm doing. I'm fooling him.
So what's the Daf-Yomi? What my intention is?
It's not your did.
Okay. So we'll see. We'll see if that's true. We'll see another day.
How can those two things coexist?
What do you mean?
If you're fooling him, you're not giving him cover. Just because they give him a big case.
Why? if everybody thinks I brought him a Lamborghini, so everybody's all on the spot. Whoa, you brought him something so chashiv. And loylam, it's full of cellophane. It's garnished. It's empty. There's nothing in it. Or you think there's a box of little wafers? There's no wafers either. There's nothing there. It's empty. Yeah, garnished. So why do you what's called it? So it's a different. I'm fooling him. I'm fooling everybody. I fooled everybody. But the reason why I fooled everybody is mishum kloidei. Mashenkin in the first case, I'm not trying to fool him. No? A Klar Chilik?
You might not feel what I'm trying to do.
So we'll see in Amud Beis. Let's see in Amud Beis. Come back to this. Let's come back to this case in Amud Beis. We have a whole nother Bryce, and then we're gonna.
What I said was actually just the opposite. That you're not trying to. In the first case, he knows that you're not.
Oh, right? You're saying he knows, right? And if he knows, right? So so he's saying even better, even if he doesn't know. If he knows, we'll head you. But even if he doesn't know, if my intention wasn't there, okay, we'll see. We'll see if it's totally my intention or not. We'll see. We'll see. Sagt mal weiter. Sagt heilige Gemara weiter. Yeah. Eini va'ula ikil beir Rav Yehuda. Pasuk chavis hamchuris lechenveni. He taka opened up chavis hamchuris lechenveni is a problem. And for the Gemara, he let him know that the pshat is no. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's going to the what's called it. It's going to the. You don't feel bad. It's going to the chenveni. It's going straight to the chenveni. People say mishani ula the chaviv leila Rav Yehuda. The blav hachia. Nami psuchim aftechle. He was taka. So Ula was so chaviv to Rav Yehuda that Rav Yehuda would taka open up. He was that ish mechuba that he would taka open up for. So the right to turn Rabbanon. Yeah, moving along. Turn Rabbanon. What did you say? What did you say?
In that case, that's not good name. That's at all.
Yeah, but the question is, it was mechuras lechenveni, so that's interesting. It was mechuras lechenveni, so this is very interesting. So he's going to be. It's also a chiddush. It's a morigi chiddush because it was mechuras lechenveni, so he didn't do a matayva, but he would have done it anyway. Is that gnevas das? The Gemara is being mechadish. No, it's not Gnevis Das. Why is such a goyis a chiddush? Why? The Ma'aser says because if I didn't deliver him anything, why? Because it's mechuras lechenveni. Also goyis a chiddush, no?
Over here, it's masha. It depends on the guy's das, not on the person receiving.
Yeah, l'chura. A person shouldn't go to Beis Oval where you bring a whole bunch of people bring food to Beis Oval. Don't bring with some kind of a thing hamakashkesh. In other words, it's swishing around because it's very empty, right? So people, the oval or people around are going to think the oval's going to think that you're bringing him a whole bunch, but the truth is you're just bringing him a little bit on the bottom. No, don't do that. Or maybe the other way would be, it won't be makashkish, I'll fill it up, but I'll fill it up with water. No, don't do that. Because you're misleading him. If yesham chaveir, it's motor. Over here Rashi says, if there's a lot of people around, and they're going to see that you're being mechaber this oval, you're bringing him a ganza barrel, whoa, look at this, look at the chever, look at the sign, outside these chasanas, somebody who they want to be mechaber to. I want to be mechaber this person, it's a whole covered. So that's a way of being mechabedim. So as God will cover abrius, it's a mutter to do it, and the pshat is so. And over here Rashi says I'll cover abrius. So maybe the pshat is because I am fooling him. I'm fooling him and I'm fooling them. But Gnevis Das itself is mutter as God cover abrius. So please. Okay, turn our button on. Don't sell a sandal that's made out of roadkill, made out of a mesa. Bechlal shel chaya. But as in lieu of, in other words, the guy thinks that this is the animal. This was hides of an animal that was a chaya shchuta, an animal that was geshachten, and really it's from something that died me'eleh. Why? Because first of all, because you're misleading him. Because apparently the toughness of the skin is different if the animal was killed than if the animal died on its own. If it dies on its own, the skin is not the hides are not going to be as and not going to be as strong, and therefore it's not you're fully you're yeah.
Taking your money from him, it's worth more money.
Oh, I think they asked that kasha also. There's so many good kashas there. No. Oh, so I heard somebody say. So I heard somebody say that a koch we're talking about in such a case where for some reason this is more expensive. A koch we're talking about your kasha. Somehow, yeah.
Then there's no grade of smaller.
Yeah.
Then an animal
It's a
that
big
was
dechi.
killed without being shafted should have the same din.
What did you say?
As far as this, an animal that was killed and wasn't shafted, it was just they took a knife and just without shafting, should be the same din.
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So more I think the cash is better than the teretz. Yeah, the shayla is a good shayla. What's the sakana? Because if the animal died by its own, you don't know why it died by its own. Maybe it died from the poisoning of a nachash, and there's some sort of an eris still in the hide. Don't say oil is much more expensive than wine. Right, and we just had Shaminim, right? The ones that are carved eretz are more chashuv than the ones that are far from eretz. So it comes out zeis eretz they shemen advash are more chashuv than gefen tein of riman. So right, yayin is much less chashuv than shemen. So don't send somebody of a barrel that's full of wine and then tap a little oil, and the guy's gonna think that it's all oil. He sent such a barrel that was full of wine. It was all full of wine, and there was a little oil on top. And he thought, oh, look, I have so much oil, now I have enough to feed a ganze oilam, and he invited a whole bunch of guests. And he came in, and he found that it's all wine, and he was all embarrassed, and he, Rahman al-Itzlain, was chonik es atzmoi. So therefore, that right, and this is what the Gemara is saying. This seems to be such a concept. The problem of being going of das. So the second case is b'chura, not a hemshich to a problem of Gnevus Das, but we have another problem, Pashtus. You can't go be gracious with what was given in front of you. The portion was given in front of you, give it to even if you wanted to give it to the son or the daughter of the Balabais himself. He invited 3 guests in the years of a hunger, and he had very, very little. All he had was to leave in front of them the size of 3 beitzim of bread. The son of the Balabais came by, and you can imagine it was a Shnei B'tzeres, and the father didn't have much. The kid was obviously very scrawny and very, very starving, and the guest felt so bad. So not so this guy said, "Figured, you know what I mean? I'll get the chanetza," and he took his beitzah that was in front of him and he gave it to the kid. And then the second guy and the third guy, they all were gracious enough to give this kid who's starving. They gave him all 3 beitzim, and they all left nothing. All of a sudden, the father shows up. So he sees that there's something stuffing up the kid's mouth. V'ushtayim biyadei, and he has two beitzim in his hands. Chavtei b'karka umeis. He got so upset at his son. What? You took it from them? And he picked them up and he threw them on the floor, and the kid, Rachmana's son, died. Once, kivan sherasa imai. Once the mother saw that her son died. Also the gag v'naflo mesa. She went on to the gag and she naflo mesa. Afwal the gag v'naflo mesa. He also went up onto the gag v'naflo mesa. Amra blez ben Yankiv al davas enegu gimel nefashos mi Yisrael. So right here there's a gimel nefashos mi Yisrael. Ma'ika mashmalon the cooler of blez ben Yankiv. So the shayla is, what's this Ma'ika mashmalon the cooler of blez ben Yankiv? What's the chiddush from that? So there's two ways how to learn it. Either the pshat is that it's only Reb Eliezer ben Yaakov we don't paskin, or this is because Reb Eliezer ben Yaakov, Mishnah Shel Reb Eliezer ben Yaakov Kavanaki, and Memela we paskin like that. So more about okay. So now we're going to go back to the system, the Hakrosa system. That's what we're going to go back to for a second. And then we're going to come back to Gnevas Das. So, and the Bryce says before 3 different steps. First of all, we're talking about a question of Gid Anosha. And then we're going to talk about Neveil Sitrefis. And then we're going to be talking about sending a Goyisha butler. Right? 3 cases. Right? And the question is, and we're going to try to figure out, are we talking about Makom Shemachriz or Makom Shemachrizim? Zok the Braisa, Shalei Akerech L'Chaver Shleima Ein Tzorach L'Tshit L'Imenu Gid Anosha Ein Tzorach She'it L'Imenu Gid Anosha. If somebody sends a complete yerech to his friend could be Jewish or non-Jewish. Shleima Ein Tzorach L'Tshit L'Imenu Gid Anosha Chatucha Tzorach L'Imenu Gid Anosha. But if it's cut up, so then already he has to send he has to send. He has to have taken out the Gid Anosha. Otherwise, the guy's going to assume that the Gid Anosha was removed. Oh, by the Kechavim, Ben Chatucha Ben Shleima Ein Tzarich Litol Imenu Gid Anosha. Kechavim, nothing to worry about. Say if it's cut up. Say if it's not cut up. Don't worry, nothing to worry about. You don't have to take out the Gid Anosha. That's the ratio. Now here comes the second case, the Mitziato. For 2 reasons they said that you should not sell the Neveil Sitrefis. First of all, you're misleading him. Why? Because he thinks that you're giving him Gishmaka, Ali, a meat, Gishmaka kosher wine. You're selling him Neveil Sitrefis. Because there's a mock-up to be chayshish that he's going to go sell it to a Yisrael Acher. Yeah? That's case number 2. We'll see if that's talking about in the case of Makom Shemachrizin and not Makom Shemachrizin. And a person can't give a dinner to his butler, his non-Jewish butler, and say, Kachli b'dinner zeh, Basar, go buy me a pound of meat. Why? Echad me'anasim. First of all, it's
what the pound was for.
What?
They were going to use it for dinner, not for lunch. For dinner.
What did you say?
No, the light.
It was a joke.
Oh, I wasn't following.
It's a dinner. Of course, you're going to have supper with it.
There we go. I wonder if it's yeah, first of all, because you have to be afraid that it's not going to work out. You're going to give him the money, and you're never going to get the delivery. And also because since he's non-Jewish, so people are going to sell him the Neveil Sitrefis, and they sell him the Neveil Sitrefis, you're going to be stuck with Neveil Sitrefis. So that's the three brises. That's the 3 parts of the brise. The first one is that it says that by a guy. Don't worry. Leave the Gid Anosha in it. Say if it's cut up, say if it's not cut up, don't worry. No one's buying from a guy anyway, so therefore you could leave the Gid Anosha in it. And the second case is where we said that let's not sell any Neveil Sitrefis to a guy, because why? Because it might end up on a Jewish plate. And the third one is that that you shouldn't send a non-Jewish Uber Eats to go pick up Uber, to go pick up go pick up meat for you, because why? Because we're afraid that he's going to end up someone's going to sell him neveil sutrefus. Then the Reisha says that don't worry, you can leave the Gid Anasha in it, no problem, nothing to worry about. It's never going to end up on a Jewish plate. And if we're talking about in a place that has instituted the machrizim system, so then if it's cut up, why don't you have to take the Gid Anasha? Since nobody made the hachraza today, and we're under the auspices of the machrizim system, what are you talking about? People are going to end up buying from him. So of course you have to take out the Gid Anasha. Must be that the Reisha is talking about in a place where there is no machrizim system. So since there's no machrizim system, so therefore no problem. Give it to the guy. It's not getting into Jewish hands. Nothing to worry about. For 2 reasons, don't sell neveil sutrefus to a guy. First of all, because you're misleading him. We're afraid that he might sell to a guy. If we're talking about, like in the ratio, we're talking about a place that there's no machrizim system, what are you chayshish? It's makom she'em machrizim like asi lemezlo minei. Once, if you didn't institute the machrizim system, nobody's going to ever buy from a guy. So why shouldn't I give a neveil treva to a guy? It's not in the makom she'machrizim. Elab shita b'makom she'machrizim. It must be that we're talking about in a place with the machrizim system in place, and that's why you can't give a neveil treva to a guy. Because why? Because you have to be chayshish that maybe somebody's going to buy it from him. Now Rashi Bavarn's a very simple pshatava problem over here. I mean, again, if we're talking about a place of machrizim system, right, and you have a neveil trefa on your hands, so obviously, they were machriz, so they made an announcement. So why can't you give it?
Yeah, $1,000,000 question.
What? $1 million question. So Rashi says, this is Rashi over here, Rashi says, and we're talking about in a case where even though they normally do, we're talking about a case where the Mishnah's Guf is saying, it's a makom shemachrizin, and therefore people they do frequent Freddy's butcher shop. No problem, because they have the machrizin system intact. But in the case where there is no, where they forgot to make a hachraza, so then you should not buy from him. Yeah, you shouldn't give it to him, because if they didn't make the hachraza, then you have a problem. Person should not send his non-Jewish butler to go buy meat. That someone's going to sell him neveil sutrefus. Again, if we're talking about viba makom shemachrizin, you may say have a trefa, chruzi have a machris. What are you worried about? Someone's going to sell him neveil sutrefus? What do you mean? I've been listening to the text messaging, and there was no text that went out that there was a trefa. So why do I have to worry that the guy is going to show up with neveilus in his hand? That's the Gemara's kasha. So it comes out Reisha v'seif b'makom she'em machrizin Siyata b'makom she'machrizin Amabaya in Reisha v'seif b'makom she'em machrizin Siyata b'makom she'machrizin. No, wait, so we have to say that's what we're talking about. Ravama kula b'makom she'machrizin. We're all talking about a place of machrizin. Reisha v'seif is very gishmak. The reason why we're chayshish that it's going to get into Jewish hand. The reason why we're afraid that it's going to get into Jewish hands if we're talking about being machrizin again. Oh, the reason why we're afraid that somebody's going to sell to a guy neveil sutrefus, right? And we have no problem that someone's going to sell to a butler a neveil sutrefus, or we have no problem giving a Gid Anasha to a guy l'churitz b'makom shemachrizin. There it says reisha v'seiva shechrizu. We're talking about in a day that they were machriz. So if they were machriz, word got out. We announced that there is treifus in the market. If there's treifus in the market, no one's going to buy for the guy. So maybe they have nothing to worry. Ravashi Amar Kula b'makom she'ei machrizin. We're all talking about b'makom she'ei machrizin. U'mitziyato and afal pikein. Even b'makom she'ei machrizin. So bad some people don't buy from a guy. That maybe he's gonna buy from Bifnei Yisrael, which is really the Gzeira that we had in the Gemara before, that the Pshat is that the third Lashon held that there's a Gzeira Shamim Kiran B'Yad Yisrael, Bifnei Yisrael, and the Yid's gonna think that I watched it, it's nothing to worry about, right? Okay, let's go back to Hechi Machrizin Omer Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef Nafal Bisrael of Nechela. What is this Hachroza system? What do they do? What are they machros? They say Nafal Bisrael of Nechela. We got a hold of meat for the army. Lebnei Chela. Now, who's Bnei Chela? These are those that are proud to be warriors, right? For the warriors, right? We have meat for the warriors. Let's say Klar. What do you mean? Why are you saying Basar? Basar is misleading. Let's say Treiftel Lebechela. Because if you're gonna call it a treifa, then they're not gonna buy it, because the pshat is that's clear that we don't want it, and then no one's gonna buy. So that's gonna defeat the purpose.
Like we're giving them the worst stuff.
Yeah. Frakti Gemara Kasha V'Kamatilu. So by calling it treifa, we're misleading them. So if we're misleading them, the problem with Gneva is das. So tomorrow, Inhu Kamatu Nafshayu. They're misleading themselves. Rav Nachman was going from Sichel b'nei Mechuza. Rav Safa Havakasu l'Sechra. Oh, yeah. Rav Safa Havakasu l'Sechra. And Rav Safa were going to Sichra, and they were crossing past Pogwa Dodi. Who saw so he thought that they were coming to greet him. You really didn't have to. Nah, you really didn't have to. Rav Safra said, we didn't have to. I'll tell you the truth. We didn't come for you. By the way, if we would have known, we would have done what? We had no way of knowing you're on your way. My time amris lehochi da'achlishta l'daitei. Such an important Gemara. Rava says that there's a countervailing cheshbon as well. Not only do you not want to mislead somebody, on one hand, you don't want to mislead somebody to thinking something different, but on the other hand, there's another cheshbon where the pshat is, if somebody assumed something, he assumed that you were mechabed him, now if you take him down a tvok, that's giving him chalisha hadas. If somebody was feeling good that you showed up, and then you're gonna go say nah, so then fuck it, you're gonna make them feel bad. That's called making them feel bad, even though you're just telling them the truth and they made a mistake. That's a chalisha l'daite. Amalei v'kamatinalei. But what is it going to do with Gnevas Das? He is misleading himself. I'm not misleading them, so that's okay. So it comes out more the cheshbon. This was mamish negeh. It was negeh mamish yesterday. I was on my way in, and somebody said, "Oh, thank you so much for coming special for my simcha." And my wife said, "What do you mean?" So we did come in early, so it wasn't so negeh, but I was like, wow, this is mamish. This is exactly this cheshbon. This is today's sugya. This is mamish negeh. It's negeh all the time. Yeah, somebody's punked in a town, and he shows up to a chasna. He would never come in a million years. He would never slept there. And when he's there, so he steps in, right? And the guy says, "Oh, I can't believe he came special." Do you have to say or not? So when I was
in the hospital, the people coming from New York to Lakewood,
right, no,
for a chasna, they stopped in New Brunswick, a little down the way.
I mean, really, Rashi Bavar is the kasha. So Rashi says, so what's in the cases before? Where's the yet a problem? Where don't you have a problem of Mateu? Where do we say is Mati Nafshe? So Rashi says, V'haydik tani le'om nei shemateyu b'moichalei b'cheska shchuta. V'chei b'peiseach aviyas ha'mechuras l'cheveni da'oibelei b'shvilcha ani poischem. Devadi goynev daito. Right? It's only where I misled him. But if it happens by itself, if the guy just assumes, it's no problem. So the problem with that is, fractosis is mafurish and aleph. It's not mash like that, fractosis. Yeah? Tosis asakasha for the brisa. It says, Ella imkain haidiyai. Right? The mashma, that otherwise it's asa. Yeah? So Tosis learns it's not about an action that you're doing and not doing. Every case has to be measured how it is. Over here in this case, it wasn't so. There was no reason to assume. In other words, Tosis says it's totally in what the guy should have assumed. If the guy should have assumed, yeah, you have no business being in Chveisvos, you don't belong in Chveisvos, in some in Cincinnati, yeah, and all of a sudden you show up to a guy Simcha in Cincinnati. He has reason to assume that you came special for a Simcha. But if the word is a guy's in Jackson, a guy comes to a chasna in Jackson, and he says, "Ooh, thank you for schlepping to Jackson just for me." Chances are I had something to do with it. Right? That's how Tosis is the Rashi learns not like that. That's the Shaila Machlekes Rashi and Tosis had to go. Okay, let's move on because we have to start today's blog. Let's go. We can't not start today's blog. So there was a tabach that told his friend. Very interesting conversation. They were in a fight. These two chavu, this tabach and this other guy were in a big fight. And he says, "You have a paisis minoi. If you would have finally made up with me, you would have had a chelik of yesterday's meat. Yesterday's meat was why. Ho ho. You should have made up with me." Amalei. So the guy said, "Achli mi shofri. I had the best cut of that meat." Where'd you get it? I'm like, there's someone plenty of Gechavim, because Yana guy gave it to me. Amalei Trey Avdi. Yeah, there was two. Vahu Trey Favoy. I had two yesterday. Well, that one was a treifa, and so now the question is, if this guy said there's a treifa voice, and now this is, and there was no achraza, so let's be worried about that. There's treifa meat now on the market. So I'm not sure exactly what the case is. Sevil tzach zogin in this case, that what happened was that the whole thing was a spiel. The guy Taka had to he bedafka took the treifa and he bedafka sold it to a guy that it should get to that guy's hands, all with this cheshbon that the lashon of Rashi is v'hites chaveirei. He was mates chaveirei. Right? He was mates chaveirei because he knew that this guy he's not gonna let him have meat. He doesn't let him have good meat, and that guy's trying to avoid it by going to the guy that he's provided. So he figured out he'll give a treifa to the guy, and this way it'll get to his thing, and then he'll come on and say, "I would have given you," and the guy says, "I got," and on that he says, "Hey, I caught you. It was a treifa." And that's a shtickle mashma. That was the story. But anyway, so Iba is saying a slightly different version of the story. Amar Rebbe, what Rebbe said, we're not going to go ask all the mekulim because that he said that treifa avoy was only because he wanted to give the guy tsar. He wants him to think that he ate treifas, but the truth is it wasn't true. So I like the second version. If it was true, then we have to Then we have to be worried about all makulim. Time the chavin litziyure l'chavri. Holav hachi asa v'atanya Rebbe Yomer makulim v'tabachi Yisrael basa nimtza b'yarav gechav mota. So the pshat is that we could always be semich. Now we're saying that we can't always be semich. So Gemara Shani Hachat is Chazik Yisura. Over here, since guy says no, I sold the guy a nevela. So in such a case, for a treifa, so therefore it's a Chazik Yisura. I can't rely on the makulim process. Normally I could, but over here I can't. Amar Rav, and here starts the sugya of Basar Shel Salmanayim. Let's get to the Amar Alf, the bottom of Amar Alf, for one more minute, and then we will finish the. This is really the big sugya of kavua, and what time is it now? We have another 5 minutes. We could do another 5 minutes. Let's go for another 5 minutes. Let's at least get this toisus over here and the big vart in kavua. Amar Rav, Basar Kivshin Salmanayin Aser. Rav is always chayshish that Basar Shel Salmanayin it was nischalif. Maybe a oiriv came in nischalif. Frekti Mar Meisvei, Rabbi Yoima, our case. Rabbi Yoima Makulim v'Tabachi Yisrael Basar Nitzel B'Yadav Kechavim. If the industry is controlled by Jews, so then even in Basar Nitzel B'Yadav Kechav is mutter, right? Obviously, it's Makom Shemachrizit. So the shaila is, what's the shaila? What are you worried about? L'chura Basar and Salmon Ayin. Who cares? What are you worried about? Where did it come from? So tomorrow Nimtzel B'Yadav Kechav Shani. Right? This is in this case we're talking about where that we say that it's makom tabach yisol basar handim so biyad oiv kechavim is mutter because it's still in the hands of a guy, so we're still not worried about a ervim. Ervim could bring from the vitins. This is not ervim. It's biyad oiv kechavim. Oiv kechavim are more trusted than the ervim. Tashma teishachanu yiskol moichris basar shchuta v'achas moicheres basar nevela v'lokachachas mehebebebebebebem ben yedayame examem lokach. Yeah. Sveikai aser. Why is sveikai aser? Because kavua kemechza amechza dami. That what if the pshat is if you bought from one of them and the esophagus, which one you bought it from? So the esophagus was noilad in something that was kavua. Is sveikai aser because kavua kemechza amechza dami. Or benimtza, but a piece of meat that was found in the street. Haloich acharoif. It's called a parish. Frank the Marakasha nimtza. You found the street. What? It's Basar Shel Salmanayim. Well, how's it going to with Rav? Hachanami b'nimtza b'yadav kacham. Nimtza doesn't mean nimtza on the street. It means it was nimtza in the hand of Aviv kacham. Tashma matzu basar alichach haroiv tabachim. If he found basar that's just raw meat, halichach haroiv tabachim, you go basar the roiv of the butchers. Then mevoshol, but if it's cooked, then now you don't judge by the butchers. You have to start. You judge the roiv basar haleich roiv eichlei basar who would have cooked it, right? So what's shver? So you can't say it's talking about nimtzu b'yadav kechavim. So what are we talking about? We're talking about basar shel salmayin v'chitei b'achanam b'nimtzu b'yadav kechavim. That over here also we're talking about in the case where it was left in the hand of Aviv kechavim. If it's cooked, you go basar roiv oichlei basar. Why should I go basar roiv oichlei basar? Let's look at. I found it in his hand. Whose hand is it? Right. So hakacha we're talking about over here. If we don't know who cooked it, obviously we're talking about something that's not found in somebody's hand. That means that we saw it was dropped. And it was dropped in somebody's hand. Now it was dropped and it's sitting around. So now it's a basar. So it would have had a problem with basar shel salmanayin. But from the second it was dropped, it was somebody was watching it. So therefore, there's no problem with basar shel salmanayin. We will continue the rest of the gemaras later on. We'll finish off tomorrow. But I just want to discuss Tosis. I want to discuss a little bit about kavua on Tosis' kasha. Tosis asks a velt's kasha. If there's a problem of kavua, so every single time by a taruvis, frekteisvis, every time by a taruvis, let's have a problem of kavua kemachzal machzadami. So why is there no problem of why is there no kavua by taruvis? That's Tosis Feikei also. So Tosfos and the Rishonim all ask this kasha, and there's two ways that they answer this teretz, and very interesting. And both of them say a murdi, and one of them is the way Tosfos, the nusach of Tosfos is mashma a major yisoid in kavua. So the other Rishonim say like this: that the pshat is that the difference in between our every roiv every rove and taruvis is that by taruvis it becomes bottle b'rove. Once it's bottle, there's no chazar kavua. Kavua is where one of them, where the miyat is gonna remain, but we're gonna be machriya basar the rove. So there we say you're not machriya when it's kavua. Mashenkein by betel b'rov, where the pshat is it's totally nisbatel. So even a kavua could be nisbatel. That is one way that the Rishonim say the teretz to this kasha. The other teretz, but Tosfos over here is mashma not like that. Tosfos over here is mashma that kavua is not some kind of a mechanism about rov, that rov doesn't work by a kavua. Kavua gives a chashivas to the kavua. It's a chashivas. And the middle of the word is, normally you haloich achar rov. No, there's a svara to be haloich achar kavua. This is the big word Achronim say.
Terubis is not chashivas.
So Tosfos, it's more of a nicker. And Bebela, they miyashav a big Rashi in Sanhedrin. The Rashi talks about by kavua. Rashi says by kavua, Rashi declares a tzad that maybe we don't say that, but Rashi bavorin's a shaila. How come by kavua we're not machriya basa the kavua? If kavua is only a vort that we don't say rov by kavua, so why should we machriya like the kavua? The teretz is that that's not how kavua works. It's not the pshat that kavua is hilchas. A roiv is that it only works by a parish and not by a kavua. No, kavua is a countervailing cheshbon. You have a cheshbon to go bas a roiv. No, kavua gives a chashivas to that tzad. It's a kavua. But even the Rashi even declares a tzad that maybe you should go bas a kavua and guts and even connect the roiv. Overrides, and that's the lashon of Rash of this. Our taste is very mashma like that. Shemor ve'ene nika is avulhachi yadua is a bedochte v'chanos ha'mecheres basan velu b'dav v'chosh v'afilu more of leibato. Yeah, that's the lashon of that. It gives a chashivas that it's kavua and memela the kavua. So we should go basan the kavua.